Yo, what's good, man? It's your man Ace. I'm back in the building. Y'all know what time it is. Can't see me. What should do it say? What time is it? Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right, listen. This video, I wanted to talk to y'all about finances, right? And specifically living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I don't know what everybody's situation is, but I know what my situation used to be. And that's what I want to highlight. That's what I want to talk about. Because my experience, my story might help somebody else. Because I made it to a certain point, so I think it's good to not kind of gatekeep and just let people know, like, hey, here's what I did. Here's what you can do. You know, you can get it from me or you can get it from where I got it from. It's up to you. But I'll leave that for you to make that decision, right? So anyway, let's talk about it. I took some notes. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I took some notes on research I was conducting around this topic, finance, the topic of finance, the psychology of finance, the psychology of living paycheck to paycheck, like what people are thinking, feeling, experiencing, and so on. And so I got a couple of points to talk about, but it's not going to be covered obviously in one video. And the topic of finance just can't be covered in one video, but I have a lot to share. Listen, I'm 45 large, man. About to be 46 in a couple of days. All right. So I got a lot to talk about, man. So I'm going to break it up over a couple of videos. Simple as that. Now, living paycheck to paycheck. It's just crazy, man. So like, it's not just a financial condition, man. It's like deeply intertwined with our psychological landscape. And at its core, this situation could be seen in two contrasting lights. And I really like this because it was said that on one hand, it might represent the incremental process of building a life under challenging circumstances. And challenging circumstances is really very, very, very key in this situation right here. But on the other hand, it can reflect an escalating anxiety about an unpredictable future. So think about those key phrases, right? Or key words. Unpredictable future, escalating anxiety, challenging circumstances, living paycheck to paycheck. All right, so I got like 3 points to cover, and then the conclusion. I want to talk about these 3 points here: the psychological underpinnings, building a life versus escalating fear, and overcoming the mindset, and then the conclusion. And within each section, I highlighted, keywords and phrases. And what I'll do is, what I like to do is call out those keywords and phrases to help your mind begin to like comprehend and grasp like the topic at hand, right? Like as I'm discussing it. And then I'll go over, I'll start to review each point that I covered. So starting with the psychological underpinnings. I was like, underpinnings. I just like the word. And so at its core, the meaning is simple, right? It's just a solid foundation laid below ground level to support or strengthen a building. So think about that. In terms of like the psychology of finance and living paycheck to paycheck, we can think about it in this way. Like, let's think about the set of ideas, motives, or devices that justify or form the basis for something. Like, form the basis of our mindset around finances. So everything that we experienced and learned and was told from the time we were born, based on the environment and culture we grew up in. So obviously, y'all know I'm a person of color. I grew up in the hood. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. 6 Mile and Woodward is my residence, man. That's my home. That's my area. Highland Park, man. HP, man. That was my borough. It's a city inside Detroit, man. And anybody who grew up in Detroit, Highland Park, man, over near 6 Mile and Woodward, man, y'all already know what time it is. Like, no joke. Like, no joke. All right. And so you have all of those variables at work, like all these different things at play. My culture. Because in the hood, man, people talking about getting money, but not in the legal way. Like, a lot of it is built around like what we feel like we have access to and what we feel like we don't have access to, where there's a barrier to entry. So that plays a factor, man. So like I said, I'm going to talk about 3 points within this area of concern, the psychological underpinnings, and scarcity mindset and anxiety. Like, what was my mindset? Did I experience anxiety? Did I have a scarcity mindset? Did I learn helplessness? Like, was this a behavior that was learned? And then present bias and short-term focus. Like, what was my present bias and short-term focus as I was growing up? You know what I'm saying? And so what I want to do, like I said, I'm going to read these keywords and phrases first in the topic for number 1, and then I'll go over it, right? All right, so operate under a scarcity mindset. Immediate survival, heightened anxiety, stress. Anxiety can evolve into a paralyzing fear of the future. Yo, tell me that ain't deep, man. Like, that's exactly what I was experiencing. The words, the phrases basically tell you, and highlight everything that I was kind of thinking and feeling, during that time, growing up as a young person, becoming a teenager, then becoming a young adult, trying to figure things out, looking at my culture, looking at my area, my living situation, my financial situation, my family, my history, all of that, man. So look, check this out. In terms of a scarcity mindset and anxiety, when individuals live paycheck to paycheck, they often operate under a scarcity mindset. And what is this mindset? It's a belief that resources are limited and that every dollar is critical. Now, this constant focus on immediate survival can heighten anxiety and stress, making it hard to plan for the long term. Now, over time, this anxiety can evolve into a paralyzing fear of the future. It's crazy. Where every unexpected expense feels like a potential disaster. That's exactly what I was, feeling and experiencing, man, like in real time. Like, it's crazy. Learned helplessness. Repeated exposure, financial instability, feelings of helplessness, can't escape, financial struggles, become less proactive, seeking solutions or opportunities, a self-reinforcing cycle, financial resilience. Let's jump into it. Repeated exposure to financial instability can lead to feelings of helplessness. Yeah, say less. When people believe that no matter what they do, we can't escape our financial struggles, we may become less proactive about seeking solutions or opportunities for change. Say less. This is a self-reinforcing cycle. The more one feels trapped, the less likely I am to take steps toward financial resilience. Number 3, present bias and short-term focus. Did I have any? And if so, what were they? Keywords, phrases, psychological research, prioritize immediate rewards over long-term benefits. I'm going to repeat that. Prioritize immediate rewards over long-term benefits. present bias, become magnified, immediate pressures, paying bills, day-to-day expenses, long-term planning, investing, future stability, the cycle, financial vulnerability. Yo, let that ring in your mind for a little bit. Financial vulnerability, future stability. Let me jump into it. Psychological research shows that many people tend to prioritize immediate rewards over long-term benefits. A phenomenon known as present bias. Yo, that's crazy. For those living paycheck to paycheck, like I was, this bias can become magnified. The immediate pressures of paying bills and covering day-to-day expenses leave little room, for long-term planning or investing in future stability, thereby perpetuating. That means just keeping it going, keeping the cycle going. This cycle of financial vulnerability. And when I was going through this, experiencing this, I was like, yo, how do I get out? What do I do? Like, how do I overcome this? And like, where do I begin? See, we talked about the steps, right? We talked about the steps toward financial resilience. And when you're feeling trapped, you can't see it. Like, I couldn't see it, what those steps look like. But I was curious and wondering, but I felt like overwhelmed with the anxiety and the fear. And the pressures, the immediate pressures of paying bills and the day-to-day expenses. I was like, yo, this is just feeling like way too much. So in future videos, right, in the following videos, I'm going to talk about building a life versus escalating fear. And this is all from my point of view, from my own personal experience. And then next, I'll talk about overcoming the mindset, like talk about what that looks like. Again, the psychology of it and what I did, what I felt. And then I'll conclude. So when we think about this, basically, we have to tear down the set of ideas, motives, and devices that we use to justify the basis of how we navigated our current financial circumstances, because that will continue to leave us paralyzed. And that anxiety around this can evolve into a paralyzing fear of the future, where we just don't do anything. We just won't become proactive. You know what I mean? Like, we won't seek solutions or opportunities. And I could tell you that if you do nothing, then how can you expect change? How can you expect change if you don't do anything? Now, I definitely had in my mind, like, yo, how long would it actually take to overcome this? How long would it take to overcome this? Now, look, I'm 46. And if you had told me that it was going to take me this long, dang, because when did I start? Like, let's say 10 years ago at 35, or between 35 or 36 is when I became a software engineer and started earning some real money. I was in the military at 19, right? So 19 to 21, 22 in the U.S. Navy. So, yeah, it's a lot to talk about, man. A lot to talk about. And then before that, working all kinds of, different jobs, fast food, warehouses, whatever. Working at just whatever job I could, man. Just different, just to make ends meet, man. So we're going to talk more about that. It's your man Ace, but I'm going to drop the mic right here and pick it up in the next video. And like I said, I'll be talking about building a life versus escalating fear. All right, it's your man Ace. I'm dropping the mic right here. Till next video, stay tuned for more, because I got more later.